Hello, wonderful. Gotta get my thing on. How is everybody? I'm finally in the podcast room doing a live. So I hope everyone is really well and excited about becoming toxic person proof. I remember last week. Last week was just I had something that ran over a pretty big interview that got right over, and then went to go live and then had a message, a very tough message, and so I did what I would tell you guys to do and give yourself some grace, and gave myself some grace, and now we're back in action, and ready to become toxic person proof. So I hope you guys are awesome. You have to comment and say hello, and we're going to go over chapters 3 and 4 this week, since we skipped last week. I don't want to skip any. And the big thing is, within chapter 3, is that toxic people know what they are doing. Toxic people know what they are doing. And it is so hard to believe that, because I just got off a private client call, and it's like, why would they do this? Why would they do that? Why would they make that decision? Why wouldn't they just do what's right? Why wouldn't they this? Why wouldn't they that? And the answer is that is how they are. They do not see a problem with always getting their way. And if you're a good, kind, loving, giving, forgiving person, that is baffling. Good, kind, loving, giving people take turns. Good, kind, loving, giving people, they just can't imagine manipulating to get their way, or acting like one person in public and one person in private. And toxic people don't have any issue with this. They don't see a problem with it at all. They're quite happy to always have their way. And sometimes it's very confusing within a toxic relationship to figure out who is telling the truth, to figure out who is really the toxic one. And I know after a toxic relationship, many of the questions I have in finding love and success are, what if I'm the toxic one? Am I the toxic one? And the toxic person is always getting the better end of the deal. Okay. The toxic person gets to escape blame. The toxic person gets to escape responsibility. And I know you're like, well, but they told me I was always the problem and I needed to take responsibility. Okay, but think about, especially if you have smart girl syndrome, and if you're a conscious person, you're probably always taking responsibility. Oh, here, let me take care of that. Let me do that. And thinking in your head, could I have done something different? Should I have done something different? Toxic people, if they're thinking, could I have done something different, or should I have done something different, then it's about manipulating to get their way. Right? Could I have manipulated them a different way? Could I have tricked them in a different way? Not, could I have changed my behavior to be better? And it's heartbreaking after a toxic relationship, because you just keep thinking in that client call, and it was like, oh, but I did this and I did this and I did this, and I couldn't earn their love. I wasn't good enough to marry. I wasn't good enough for someone to be kind to me. And in a healthy relationship, you are not earning favor. You probably have some friends or people in your life, or kids, or whoever it is, that you don't feel like they just accept you. They just like you. You're not always having to change your behavior to adapt and become who they think you should be. Okay? So in a toxic relationship, you're always having to change so that you can be who they want. In a healthy relationship, you become more of yourself. It's a safe place to be. It's a safe place to land. You're not always performing. Okay? So, toxic people know what they are doing. And I'll grab here to see if there's any comments. They're not showing on my computer. And you can also, within toxic people knowing what they are doing, you can tell, because have you ever been in a situation, it's like, oh, there's like screaming in the car. Then as soon as they get out of the car, it's like, oh, hey, how are you? You know, getting out and going to church or something. Hey, everybody, or synagogue. And it's like, oh, or mass. And they're always acting like, oh, everything's fine. Everything's wonderful. If they can turn it on and off, then they know what they're doing. Because if they're doing the flip and saying horrible things about you, but they know not to do it to their boss's wife, then yes, they know what they are doing. Okay. So, any questions on that? How's everybody doing today? Going big? Somebody write me a comment so I know that I'm getting them. I know you guys are on here. Hello, everybody. Yeah, toxic people know what they are doing, and they are willing to make you feel like it is your fault. And just think about knowing who they do it in front of. That is a huge thing. And then who is getting the best end of the deal of the relationship. And if there's ever two people that you're like, oh, I don't know if he's lying, if she's lying, they're both saying each other one's crazy, that's how you know. Who is getting the better end of the deal? Hey, Amanda. Yeah, Amanda brought up a good point. Yes, I've done that to hide what's going on. Yes, absolutely. We've all done that. But we have to take responsibility at some point. I hate to say that word because it sounds like victim blaming, and I don't mean it that way. But one of the ways that I stopped doing that is to say, I'm not the kind of person who hides other people's bad behavior. I'm not the type of person who's covering over others' mistakes or sins or whatever language you use, evil, darkness, whatever, bad energy, whatever language you use. I'm not the type of person. I stay in my integrity, and I am who I am, and I don't hide. I'm not the type of person to lead a double life. Right? Yeah. And she said not to involve others in the drama. It is the pattern. Okay. In the intro, or the very first part of the book, we talked about the pattern. There's a difference in a dog who bites you once and a dog who bites you daily. Okay. So lots of situations, lots of couples, it's like, okay, you know, we kind of disagreed in the car, and then we got out and kind of like put it behind us. It's the pattern. How often is that happening? How often do you feel like you're living a double life? How often are you hiding your drama from others? And the more often it's happening, the more toxic the situation. Yeah, they do know exactly what they're doing, because they can change the game depending on the audience. And yeah, and someone said, hi Marcy. Someone said that they hid his behavior so long that no one believed me when I finally exposed them. Yeah, and Amanda said, well, I'll hit Marcy's comment first. That's what's so unfair, right? That's what's so unfair and crazy, when it's like, oh my gosh, like, here I was, I hid their behavior for so long, tried to do the right thing, tried to uphold the family dynamic, all this kind of stuff, and give them a chance to change their behavior. And then when I told people what was really happening, well, you must be lying, because we would have been able to see it. And it's like, oh my gosh, you were so strong in surviving it that it actually is flipped against you again. It's a double bind. Yeah, and Amanda said, stuck in a pattern. So in the book, I have a quote that says, "Dear Sarah, if it's not working, stop doing it." Okay. So I think, Amanda, I don't know much about your situation at all, but I think it can be really scary to think about what happens if we change something, or what happens if we stop doing it. So I encourage you to be really afraid of what happens if you don't change anything, and if you don't stop doing it. Because there's two futures. I either change something and something changes. I don't change anything. I keep doing this and nothing changes. And I really want, if you are unhappy in your certain situation, your current situation, I want you to be really afraid of not changing things. And single almost a year now. And I was about to say, and changing the healing journey. The statistics about getting in another toxic relationship are not good. The statistics around loneliness and just hanging in your house, not because of COVID trying safety measures, but just fear. I've had a lot of people, and it's like, oh, I'm really thankful for COVID because then I could avoid people. And it's like, that's a prison in its own making. That becomes its own prison. Freedom is having the choice to choose who to be around, the choice who to give your kindness to, the choice to stay home or go out. Not COVID related. It's funny in the quarantine, but I was using this language before. But the choice to feel confident in your ability to trust yourself around new people. There's no freedom in hiding. The difference between not being that person that keeps things quiet anymore and rehashing the story affects the healing. Gosh, and I do know a bit about this person's story, so I'll figure out how to answer this. But oh, whoa, Lynn, she said she became a Wonder Woman last week. She's ready to start dating. So you have to jump on the Q&A tonight. I'll like to talk about that. That sounds awesome. Lynn's awesome. Lynn's really awesome. We're ready to, in the Wonder Woman program, a lot of times I'll say, wow, start dating while you have this support system. Start dating while you have me to ask questions about, you have people to bounce things off of with a lot of wisdom. Oh. Yeah, Sylvia, she said he would smile and be friendly in front of others and then would look miserable. She would look miserable because probably horrible things were happening, Sylvia. And then he'd say, look, let's see what I have to put up with. And there's a great and horrible phrase that says, hi, Allison, a great and horrible phrase that says, if someone is determined to make you fall, it doesn't matter where you put your feet. Okay? And with toxic people, if you step here, they're going to pull the flip. If you step here, they're going to pull the flip. If you step here, they're going to pull the flip. So it doesn't matter where you land, where your foot lands. It doesn't matter what you do, or if you smile, or if you're happy, if you're sad. You would have been in trouble either way. And that is what is really maddening. And it feels just like, who would do that to people? Who would do that to people? Who would do that to people? Toxic people will do that to people. So no matter what you do, they flip it on you. Whatever choice you make, they pull the flip. Okay. So, hi Linda. Yeah, and I'm really sorry. That's very hard. That is very hard. But it wasn't your behavior. It was that they wanted to use whatever choice you made to control you. Okay. I'm going to go back to Julia's question about the difference between not being that person that keeps things quiet anymore and rehashing how my story affects my healing. Let's talk in terms of growth. I used to be someone who, if you guys don't know this, I added the K to my name. I used to be Sarah Ramsey. I mean, Sarah Kristen Ramsey, but I was Sarah Ramsey. Now when people say Sarah Ramsey, it's jarring. Like, oh, no. Sarah Ramsey put up with a lot of stuff she should not have. I'm Sarah K Ramsey. And it became this identity shift for me, this identity piece. It's like, oh, no, this is who I am. This is who I choose to be. And Sarah Ramsey would have, hid things. Sarah K Ramsey doesn't do that. Sarah Ramsey would let you talk to her that way. Sarah K Ramsey does not. Huge identity shift for me. I used to have bangs. You guys saw my bangs. I got my bangs cut because when I looked in the mirror, I felt like a different person. I don't have the bangs anymore. They actually grew out during COVID because I could not get my bangs trimmed. So that's the story on the bangs, and they just never came back. But for years I had those because I looked in the mirror and I saw someone different. I saw someone I saw Sarah K Ramsey. I wasn't going to put up with those things anymore. I was different now. So thinking in terms of, talking in terms of growth. Beth, did your friend get in? Talking in terms of growth versus talking in terms of regurgitating. And also absolutely using the term a high conflict personality rather than using the term narcissist. Okay. If you want to talk to me, you want to talk to this group, you want to talk to your girlfriends, you want to say, hey, I think he's a narcissist, you want to research narcissism, it's an okay place to start, great place to start, bad place to end. Don't do it forever. But when you just start diagnosing people and then talking to your friends and family about it, that is a really hard thing for them to grasp, and it automatically paints you as part of the problem. Because if they don't know what a narcissist is, they don't have enough hooks to hear you. But if you say something like he's a high conflict personality, for example, 1, 2, and 3, and he has an explosive personality, he has a manipulative personality, 1, 2, 3, he has a passive aggressive personality, he's always avoiding responsibility, 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is a language people can grasp. And it is dangerous to come across as the emotional expert. It is dangerous to come across as the emotional expert, because the emotional expert has all the answers. She's got a book in hand. She has all the answers. And let me tell you about narcissism and sociopath. And I think he's this breed. And I think he's this. And I think he's that. That comes across as, people don't take it well. And it's automatically harder to believe you. So build that bridge that makes it easier to believe you. They have a high conflict personality. They have a responsibility avoidant personality. They, have an explosive personality. 1, 2, 3 examples. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that is, yes, toxic people do know what they're doing. Blind spots is probably one of the most important chapters in here. The chapter 4, uncovering your blind spots. Okay. It was actually created as a survey in this group and years ago. And I would say, what lies did you tell yourself to make their behavior okay? What lies did you tell yourself to stay? What lies did you tell yourself to make their red flag pink or white or not a problem? And it was hugely popular post. I probably need to do another one in here. And it was a hugely popular post, and people said, oh, I told myself things like, I'm safe from toxic person encounters. I would never be in a toxic relationship. I don't have to worry about that. That's the spot where it says, Dear Sarah, if it's not working, stop doing it. Allison was talking about that earlier. Or Amanda. Blind spot 2. I'm too tired. I'll just worry about it later. I'll worry about it later. I'll worry about it when the kids leave. I'll worry about it when he retires. I'll worry about it when this job happens. I'll worry about it after we have a baby. I'll worry about it, whatever it is. And sometimes waiting is a good idea. Most of the time, action is a good idea. Recognizing this isn't working. I need to do something different. I need a healing strategy. I need to stop the pattern. It's a lot easier to worry about your problems than do something about them. It is a lot easier to worry about your problems than do something about them. Okay? But no one has ever solved a problem by worrying about it. Okay, I'm reading a book, How Not to Die Alone, and they talk about maximizers. So maximizers have to research absolutely everything, make the best decision. And another book, Atomic Habits, I read recently, it talks about people who have motion instead of action. Oh, I'm not gonna write a book because that's scary. I'm just gonna take a writing class. There's nothing wrong with taking writing classes. There's not as much vulnerability. It's taking a risk. It's having the opportunity to fail. Leaving a relationship. oh, I might fail. I might mess up. I might make the wrong decision. And if there's been a pattern of toxic behavior, you get really real about that. Um, it's not the wrong decision. And only you can make that decision. I don't want to put that pressure on you, but I hear a lot more people say, I wish I had left sooner than I wish I had stayed longer. Okay, so blind spots are the lies we tell ourselves to, and I just, so much of this is what I work with my coaching clients on. Like, what are your blind spots? What are your blind spots? What lies do you tell yourself so you can avoid action, avoid doing something? Time will fix it. I just need to give it more time. I mean, it's been 30 years, but I'm sure it'll be fine. 31, everything's going to be different. I've invested too much to give up now. There's I can't remember the name of it, but there's some theory, and it's like, if I've dug a hole, people are like, why are you digging a hole? Because I've already been digging it. But why do you need a hole? Well, I'm going to keep digging because I already have. And it's like that doesn't make sense. Or say there's all the kids at the house are like into stocks right now. I don't know anything about stocks, but Ben's taking care of that. But it's like if I'm investing in Google stock, okay, and I'm losing thousands and thousands of dollars, and they say, why do you keep giving money to Google stock? Well, because I've already given, $5,000 this month, so I'm gonna keep giving more. It's like, why? It's a bad investment. And if you already have the data that things have been going badly, right? Then you keep making bad investments. It's bad investments. Yeah, and Amanda said her standards are so high now. I'm not sure if you've read the blind spot chapter. Do so. Kind of one of the balance things in the group is finding that, how do we accept humans are humans, and everyone's got problems and everyone's got baggage, especially if you're dating as an adult and not ending up in another toxic relationship. Because sometimes even in this group, I see people and they're like, you should dump him, you should dump him. I'm like, whoa, like they're good. I'm not saying, I mean, anything about you. I have no idea about your standards, but it's a balance, right? Because there are going to be red flags in every relationship. The magically fairy godmother swoops in and sends you someone who doesn't have any red flags. Too good to be true is. But how do you differentiate the important ones, right? And not ignore them. Blind spot chapter. Taking it self-responsibility over being overly responsible. It's just me. I just need to work harder. I'm the problem. No one's perfect. Everyone deserves the benefit of the doubt. You see how these blind spots, and there's so many to cover. I won't get into all of them. It's not that bad. They're full of potential. Here's one. Ladies, here's one. Well, I know they treated everybody else that way, but I'm going to be special. And every Disney princess movie and every storyline we have ever seen reinforces this. Oh, this guy was horrible. I read a book recently. This guy was horrible, and then the right girl came along and he magically turned into the man of her dreams. This is the storyline of every single book. But it's fiction. It's a fictional movie. It's a fictional book. Please really think about the people in your real life and look at it. How many people have found someone that completely changed for them? That's actually very scary. If you've met someone and he's like, oh, I'll completely be a different person for you, that is a red flag. That is scary. And so you have this dynamic of like, oh, I'm so wonderful, I'm so special, they're gonna change for me. And this other person saying, yeah, I'll change for you. It's like, whoa, that's not healthy. I mean, if you went on a first date and if you and I were talking, you're like, I'm really a hot mess, really just a complete mess. But when the right guy comes along, I'm gonna change and be everything they need me to be. I'm gonna be a really good person. You'd be like, what? If you're a hot mess, you need to take care of that. Not find the right person and they fix it for you. We don't think about it in reverse. We think, oh, I'm just going to be so special. They're going to change. Well, do you think I'm a hot mess, but as soon as I, find the right guy, I'm going to change and be completely different? I'm going to get, magically my career is going to be in order. Magically my morals are going to be in order. Magically my integrity is going to be in order. I just need to find the right guy. We don't think that way because it's faulty thinking. It's dangerous thinking, and it's not fair to bring into dating. I certainly hope, I think, gosh, I'm just a really hot mess. I'm looking for somebody to fix me. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to find that right guy. He's going to fix it all for me. Like, we don't think that, right? Or most of us, if you're healthy at a healthy place, you're not thinking that. And I think we hope they don't show up that way too. Oh, I'm a hot mess. She's gonna, the right girl is gonna work it all out for me. That is very, very dangerous. Very dangerous thinking. Yeah, yeah, and Lynn saying that X had affairs and that she, kind of thought she was going to be different. There's a big reason that's one of the blind spots in the book. You are not alone in that fear. And I'll even hear people early in dating, and they'll kind of talk about it and make excuses and say, "Oh, well, I know, but I know they cheat on their, last situation, but they did that to her, right? They hadn't done anything to me. Well, I know they have anger problems, but that was with her. That wasn't with me. It's going to be different with me." Okay. Blind spot, blind spot. Think about it. And please, 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 please. There are so many blind spots. I mean, like 20 that came from this group, came from other women. If you can solidify where your kryptonite is, where you let your guard down, what piece of you, because right now you're studying for people and it's probably, oh, they're codependent, they're broken, they're this, they're that. But really think, who am I? What are my personal kryptonites? Mine's growth. Oh, you can help me be a better person? Like a little puppy. Ooh, you can help me be better? You can help me be smarter? You can help me this? That can be incredibly dangerous because I had people in their life that tore me down in the name of making me a better person. And they didn't. They were just controlling. Okay. So I hope that helps. I hope you guys have a great day. I actually do have to hop off. I was trying to keep it close to 30 minutes. Get the book on blind spots. Chapter 4. I can't possibly go over all of them and in the depth, and figure out what your blind spots are so you can stay safe in the future. Have a great day.